to reminisce on those times as the Zeri's locked in. Do we see just a blind Sylas here just to get it on the board?
I don't think so, especially considering that, again, you still have the Ahri, you still have the LeBlanc up. So 3 potential options for Creme there in the mid lane, so they will just go with the outright takeaway of this bot lane, which, again, Abel's played. I mean, Abel's been pretty much everything in the split deck that can be played down there in the bot lane, but they haven't been one of the bot lanes that lean too heavily on this, like some other bot lanes we've seen, EDG especially, right, leave. It's the most played by far. So maybe going to go with the opposite end and get the Aphelios. We've seen some hook champions come out. Some other things that you hit on is like we've noticeably not seen like a lot of anti-priority in this series. That's something that you can always have on your mind. Though I think it's stronger for teams that do flex it, and EDG have not been a team that have really been willing to flex that one in, but we still might get it.
It's a powerful pick, and like you say, just because they haven't flexed it doesn't mean they can't flex it, right? Yeah, I can certainly imagine FoFo happy to play this. He played the Gragas previously, both enabling mid laners that can bring damage to the table as well. And there it is, Annie, locked in and instantly answered by Creme's Akali.
Going to come through. I want to see FoFo's willing to pilot this, having things like the shield, having very easy ways to get CC off and potentially keep that Akali down can always be an answer. But again, it is something that's also very commonly paired with the Aphelios in that 2v2. I feel like it just brings so much burst. The range that Annie has, I feel like kind of makes up for some of the range that can't be there from Aphelios once the Calibrum is off the table. And now for OMG, going to start targeting towards the top lane for these round 2s. We've usually seen EDG put fans into mid lane here, but with those out, you'd expect it to just to be jungle. Vi and Wukong already taken off, so not even too many strong meta options available.
Yeah.
Aki has been one of the people who has kind of brought in things like the Jarvan, brought in things like the Xin Zhao, which Jarvan we've seen a bit of. Xin Zhao really has not been even niche whatsoever. But you always got to be on your toes for those things to come out with Aki on the Rift.
I mean, Jarvan would certainly tick a lot of boxes, wouldn't it? Being able to be proactive in the way that Aki wants to be. But also, I've seen rumblings on Twitter that Jarvan might be kind of underrated right now. Quite a strong pick, apparently, statistically speaking, at least. The Gragas taking off the board here. And
yeah,
Jarvan we're talking about taking off of the board.
I guess even having the immobility of the Aphelios, and if you expect the Annie to go down towards that bot lane, it's something like a Thresh theoretically wouldn't come out to help him in that avenue. So now for OMG, going to be looking towards top, funnily enough. I guess with the amount of bans that have been invested, maybe just wanting to get the safest blind pick, I think it come through, which surprises me because you still have Kasante, you still have Sion, you still have so many different options on the table, but wanting to make sure that they have a semblance of pressure in top lane.
See what they're going to go for up towards the top side here. Shanji has been the Kasante aficionado of the league, whereas Ala has only played it twice so far this year. The Sion much more within his wheelhouse. It looks like EDG are just going to go for a safe top side here, play towards that Aphelios, but in fact actually look at the Viktor first.
We were highlighting Creme, usually defaulting to the Viktor, not something FoFo's done too much, but FoFo also just way more competent on control mages and fits his style more. We hit on earlier, especially if you remember his tenure on RA, it was really built on like pick scaling mage, play for late game team fight, and really be the one who had to carry the games. He had something ridiculous, like 36% of his team's damage that split, like as his average. It was absolutely nuts. So just gonna go pretty straightforward, front to back, 5v5 team fights, tons of DPS able to come out. And now for OMG, where do they want to go with jungle? I mean, the Jarvan was something we were speculating being taken off the table. Maokai, I guess, being the other big thing left up. But again, we've really seen this kind of fall to the wayside in recent weeks in the LPL.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Poppy jungle at the minute, but against this composition, would not work. So the Annie does end up going into that support role with FoFo taking the Viktor mid. And we have our two compositions lined up very different to a lot of the stuff we've seen today with this Viktor coming in the mid lane. The Annie, this is the first time we see it this series from either team. And then that Maokai as well, like you say, not really been a highlight over the last few days in the LPL, but Aki bringing it back to the table.
EDG really wants stability this game, right? I mean, you're going to love front to backs. You have a huge front line that they really can't break past. Like, sure, you have Zeri, but you just have so many like ways of dissuading them to engage, and you have Sion that I'm looking at to receive some pressure from EDG, which is great if it's thematically with how EDG have worked around their identity over these past I don't even say past few years, literally since their inception in the LPL.
Yeah.
The only split I feel like we saw them play heavily around topside was, I can't remember if it was spring or summer, but 2020 when Xiaosheng came in, and they were putting a lot towards topside, which, to be fair, 2020 is also the only split. I think it was 2020 summer. EDG didn't even make playoffs.
Yeah.
So, kind of makes sense.
So they're never doing that again.
Kind of makes sense why that hasn't been their recipe for success ever since.
Yeah.
And even before.
We don't talk about that split. We don't talk about
I think
that
RNG
split.
didn't make it that's
Yeah, no, I remember it was 2020 spring because me and Rob talked about it in our flat how we'd joined the LPL and we'd seen RNG and EDG all of these years and we got to LPL and they sucked. Like it was not the legendary teams that we had been promised.
I mean, the fact that EDG have been able to rebuild and bring it back is crazy. Like, yeah, didn't matter if there was 2 dry years because 2019 also wasn't a great year for EDG even if they were making it to playoffs, but then coming back strong 2021, 2022, and now 2023 sitting at the top of the table.
And for RNG as well, who feel like they're on the up and up with this roster. Absolutely clowning on Ultra Prime the other day. As Shanji is loving this trade right now. Just hitting away, but answered back by Ala. She's done a very good job to keep that even.
Yeah, doing a nice job finding the trade back. Shanji going with the extended trade, having that Conqueror stacking up the whole time, to where Ala going with the Grasp, which typically is more about those short trades, able to come on through, but having that Q, being able to equalize, is what's allowing Ala to do fine in this matchup. And let's remember that Ala, earlier in the series, was playing the Jackson at the Sion. The Sion was absolutely doing work. So the same potential is definitely here, but we don't know how OMG want to get things going early in topside, and they're already looking for it.
Again, cheeky with it. Shanji has the stun available, you'd assume. Aki in the wings as Ala getting aggressive. And here we go, Twisted advance with the flash, the Bramble Smash back into the play and executed. Shanji taking the first kill of the game, and OMG just a perfectly played set piece there.
Yeah, 3 camps into top gank, something that, not reinventing the wheel, but you don't need to reinvent the wheel when it works. I'm surprised Ala didn't snuff more out that was potential when Shanji was so low, sitting in front of him. Yeah, I just feel like you could have maybe read into that. That could have been a bait, but not going to happen. TP and Flash having to come out from him so early on. Jiejie will respond by counter-jungling on the opposite side, so at least EDG finds something, even if not that big in the end.
Yeah. And I will say it kind of sucks not to have blue buff as Maokai, because you do want to spam those abilities as much as possible, but with that ward there, I'm curious what Jiejie is planning. But the sapling kind of denies anything, he's just going to go for the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, and you even look like FoFo has Prio and was kind of leaning down, but you don't really, I don't feel like as Viktor you really have much way of enabling that play. We're going to see here, Aki waiting in the brush. Again, Shanji just doing a great job of looking juicy to bring him in. Flash, comes too late from the Sion. We already saw the Twisted advance coming through. Sets up for the Bramble Smash, and just easy work for the OMG topside.
Yeah, nice stuff. And we did talk about how OMG's topside need to be aggressive. They need to find themselves leads. This Renekton, this Akali. And you just know that wherever the next play is, Creme is going to be involved. As soon as he's got a couple of levels on that Akali, he is everywhere on the map and he is making things happen. We've seen it all series long, but FoFo so far doing a phenomenal job of building himself a bit of a CS lead. This is what we know FoFo for, playing these control mages and just dominating during the laning phase.
It's also one of those things where people say, right, Viktor is a scaling champion. Viktor not that useful in the early game. Viktor in the isolated 1v1 is very strong. Very strong. Your Q especially, the shield that you get from that, the damage put out, the range you have to play with is there. Just when you join up in skirmishes, you really don't have that much to offer. But doing a nice job of not only controlling his lane, but getting some early vision set out so they know exactly where Aki is playing towards. And in my mind, that's the name of the game for EDG. Like, we can see maybe Jiejie is going to angle up for some plays, but in my mind, as long as you know where Aki is, you're kind of having some defensive counter ganks coming through, and then you have, like we said, some opportunities towards spawn, especially post 6, and you can stabilize the game, and that is fine. That is good enough for EDG's composition and their win condition going forward.
Absolutely. Damage from Ala there, but Ala, low on HP, no mana, and no teleport available. He's going to start really struggling in this top lane right now. Shanji will just continuously push him underneath the tower, build a CS lead for himself. I thought Shanji had hit Ala then. I thought he was going to be tanking tower through that entire stun. That would have been brutal, but won't quite land it. As now Meiko moving back down towards this bottom side with Jiejie. Aki, though, he's moving back up to top lane. Al is in a whole heap of trouble here.
No mana either, which I feel like will be the big thing setting him apart. So Shanji trying to find the heavy trade now, get his health bar low enough to where you can go for this dive. With Dominus Munch, it's just going to happen.
Dominus going to come out. There's no flash available. The Bramble Smash, and Shanji finishes the job. As Aki just walks into that next minion wave, he'll walk away with his life. Ala just getting whatever CS he can before he goes down. EDG, they will get themselves that Drake. Somewhat of a consolation prize at this point with how OMG are doing in the top side.
Team just playing to opposite sides. EDG knowing they don't want to match into that top side aggression, so they are just cross-mapping, constantly going for plays on the opposite side. We can even see now going for a steal once again. So at least realizing, hey, our side's going to be weak. It's fine. He's a tank. He'll be able to be useful and do his job no matter like what item deficiency he's at. Yeah. So let's get our jungler ahead. Let's start just stacking up these Drakes to make sure we have the insurance policy, or if we can stall out this game, that we will be in a fine position still. Iron Spike with Caulfield's Warhammer now built up by Shanji, so they're going to start getting more and more impressive. It's just the fact that, I mean, Ala going with the Bomby Cinder, helping him to be able to maintain pushing these waves, but, you know, not as defensive of a build if you went for like plated steel caps or Bramble Vest or any of those item purchases, right?
Yeah. And the question will be not whether or not Ala can become a tank. Like you say, inevitably Sion will still be useful later on. It's what can Shanji do to impact this game? He's got 2 kills very early on here. He's got an individual lead that he can leverage. We need to see him use that.
I think one thing we're definitely looking out for is Herald. That'll be up in 30 seconds. We can even see on the minimap great vision around top side for OMG. So if you can guarantee that objective and then really start breaking down structures, it'll give you the freedom to start roaming around the map even more. So that should be the play for OMG. I wonder if Aki will just decide to stick around topside in the meantime. He even still has construct to do, so it makes sense in my mind to do so. And if EDG even want to try and contest, or if they just keep bringing Jiejie down towards bot side, his full topside camp's up right now, so you'd expect him to go that way. But I don't really think they should be in a position to where they can really contest a Rift Herald fight if it comes through.
No, not at all. Not against this Renekton right now, especially with that Iron Spike whip in inventory. He's got a lot of damage available, and Ala sees Aki on the ward and just bails. Just legs it out of the top lane. He knows that there's a risk of a dive. But Aki not interested in that right now. He's going to start that Herald off. And EDG acknowledging this, just playing on the opposite side of the map. Again, going for the invade on that bottom quadrant.
So not even going to look towards his topside camps, realizing, hey, I can get more done here, and it even just puts more pressure on OMG's bot lane and allows Leave and Meiko more freedom to play aggressively. We're going to be looking at Aki and where he wants to go with the Herald. The fact that you've already started breaking plates down in topside would just lead me to believe that you're just going to give even more gold over to the Renekton. Would feel quite nice if you could give it to either the Zeri or the Akali, but we'll see if Aki even has the option to do so.
I have to ask, do you feel like EDG should be being more aggressive on the bottom side here? Like, should they be trying to set up dives onto Abel and Ppgod when they know Aki's playing so heavily for the top side?
I feel like you'll be able to start looking for it in a moment. Meiko should be just a few experience off of hitting level 6, and then again, I really feel like you're hitting with the full force of your burst, and these plays become even more guaranteed, especially when you have things like the wild growth and the shields that you have to contend with in that bot side.
Okay. So not going for it just yet. As Jiejie moves into the top side just to clear away some vision. But in the meantime, flash from Aki, in goes Creme, the wild growth is there, and Meiko doesn't have a chance in this one. Creme with his first kill off the game. Perfect execution, just going to be used to get out.
And when we were asking for something to set up for Herald to be dropped for one of your other carries, this pick on Meiko does that.
Oh yeah, big time, and maybe a pick onto Leave as well. He keeps himself safe, stays at range, but one plate already taken. They would love to Herald for that Zeri, and they're going to be able to at least 3 plates in the bottom side. Potentially a 4th if Abel can get just a bit more damage onto the tower. But regardless, I mean, what a series of plays from OMG. This is immaculate snowballing, a 2,000 gold lead.
All 3 games, OMG have just outplayed EDG in the early stages of the game. This time around does feel like more to the advantages of their composition, but still the way they're just playing off those so well. Aki being so involved, so proactive on the map, realizing, oh, we've already got top ahead, lean towards mid. Oh, Meiko's here, catch Meiko out. This opens up for what we wanted, getting play gold onto our Zeri. It's really just going according to plan
Yeah.
Luckily for EDG, they're just not falling too far behind. Not even 1K gold down at this point. I guess they are now, but a second ago wasn't 1K gold down. I don't know what just shifted, but...
Yeah, it was 2K not long ago, but Leave and Meiko managed to get a couple of plates in the previous play. Aki considering coming into this lane, but the ward spots the sapling coming over, and Jiejie's here as well, so they've got to be a little cautious. Drake coming up though in 5 seconds time. Both teams going to have their eyes on this one. EDG got the first. Do we see Shanji try and get involved? I mean, his CP's on cooldown. I guess he can't walk across the map. That's a lot of OMG's gold up there.
I feel like if they wanted the option, like they could try and stall out and just have him start making his way down, because typically extended posturing happens throughout these objectives anyway, right? But it doesn't look like they're going to even go for that. I wonder if they feel confident to even look for this. Round of Ages built up by FoFo, but that really doesn't mean all too much at this point in the game. EDG just trying to use the fact that they have the range from the Viktor to shut members like Creme out from even being able to enter.
Able clearing some vision here. EDG on position. Creme still scary in every early game situation. We've seen what his Akali can do. Abel would love to move over and grab that CS. Dragon resets, and that gives Abel that opportunity to clear the wave. Gets the cannon. Gets all but one of the CS. One had died already. But Jiejie decides he has to back away, and Creme going to move over to the mid lane as well. And all in all, it's just EDG losing a couple of minions, I think.
Yeah, is it going to turn into too much? No Dragon able to come out on either side. I think for EDG it makes sense that they would be able to do Dragon. Nice job by OMG constantly keeping up that pressure and threatening the fact that they can look for this. As so close. But I don't even know if you necessarily wanted to... I guess canceling it would have been fine, but if any other EDG members hadn't started recalls yet and then potentially been able to stay in reaction time could have been dangerous. But that wasn't the case. OMG able to take this Dragon. So going to be first of the game for them. Abel probably even going to get another plate for himself. So sure, Gale Force now built up by Leave, but Abel should be on his way to picking up that mythic for himself of his own. Yeah, absolutely. And that 4th plate. I think Leave should be able to get a plate as well, though, on the back of this reset, right? Unless Abel just decides to stay in lane, and I think that is the decision he's made. Opting to stick around to make sure that Leave can't get that plate for free. It's only a minute until plates are gone. This is where I'd like to see EDG make a play towards spot. It looks like they're already doing that now, but you have Tibbers online, you have ultis, you have item advantage. This should be where you're able to punish this OMG bot lane.
Abel clearing the wave as fast as he can, and it's enough to stop Leave getting that plating. Jiejie tries to invade the Gromp. Creme's moving over. Aki trying to get involved in the play as well as he finishes off his wolves. And just fighting for vision control on the side of OMG as EDG cluster up to take this blue buff. Aki in the area though. I think EDG are going to have to back away.
So don't find anything that they were looking for. We're hoping to take advantage of the item spike that they have. You highlighted Abel clearing out the wave as fast as he could before. Leave still trying to play aggressively off this spike and get as much damage down as he can, especially being on the Caliber, having that range available. They're really trying to make something happen or bring OMG into a trap.
Yeah, the reset finally comes through from Abel, gets himself that shield bow. That might mean this tower falls though, because the plate's now gone. It's just a few autos away. Leave and Meiko move on forwards. Aki here to try and defend alongside Ppgod. I don't think they can defend this though, and maybe have stayed a little too long. The stun comes through. Roots across the team though as Aki flashes out to safety, and now Abel's back in the play. Chaining up that lightning, but oh, the Cyclone denies the slide across the wall. Abel can't get into the play, but Leave has to use his Gale Force just to survive as Tibbers comes out defensively. Creme threatening from the side, but I don't think OMG have found their window.
No, not able to get in. We saw there some of what we can expect later on. Just the lasers being shut out, denying entry from people like Creme. But the fact that Aki didn't go down is huge for the side of OMG, and a lot of it being the fact he's going to tank Maokai, right? Not some of the AP shenanigans that we still do see. The Aftershock being there to help give him some of that tankiness. And now, second Rift Herald on the map. So we know both teams are going to start gravitating towards this top side. This is still where OMG's strength is. We haven't seen it in a while because they haven't been playing around the Renekton, but 40CS up still has the Gore Drinker.
Yeah.
They would love to be able to get Shanji involved in some action right now.
Honestly, I feel like OMG would love for the laning phase to end ASAP so that they can just run around the map and scrap. I feel like that's the way that they're going to win this game, if they win this game. And like say Herald, definitely a fight that will favor them if Shanji can get a good position, if he can get into the fray. EDG, though, standard front to back for them. With the leave, having the Gale Force, but it's on cooldown for the time being. I don't know if EDG can really fight this.
No, but look, we see Ala kind of preventing Shanji from being able to just walk in the top side, which is allowing the potential engage to come out from EDG in mid.
Creme trying to threaten from the side there. Back to fighting for mid prior, as with all of these neutral objectives. And this feels tense, this feels tough for both teams. And this feels like OMG are really challenging EDG. They're saying you have to play at your best if you want to take this series, if you want to fight us. 1,500 gold in favor of OMG at the start of this one.
EDG, though, happy in their position. They can draw things like the gravity field and OMG just start funneling into them.
Roots come across and look at Shanji behind enemy lines. He can charge into the fray. Creme threatening from the blue buff area, but they've spread out. Aki dodging the stun from Ala, but he's gone! He's eradicated, and the same for Ppgod as well. He survives for the time being. Shanji in the middle of everyone needs to be a huge old croc to win this fight. Creme needs to get in there. Jiejie's clone blocks the shuriken, and they somehow just can't finish off a kill.
And for EDG, sadly not going to be able to pick up that Herald that you're able to confirm for yourself either. Still do manage to get one, and look at the mid lane, pushing down this turret right now. So will get something off the back of this fight, but great by EDG.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen OMG the ones setting up ganks, finding early advantages, but now coming together 5 members strong, that's really where they shine.
And I feel like we're seeing EDG force pressure on OMG, right? OMG feel like they have to make a play here, but EDG plays so immaculate.
The fact that they have the space first, to me, is one of the big things. They made sure they're in a position where, again, how do you enter into things in the gravity field, the laser coming out, and now being so decisive, engage on the Maokai before things like the Renekton and the Akali can really get access to the backline. We see the stun from Ala coming onto Creme, so he gets stopped right in his tracks. And sure, Shanji gets in, gets some big damage out with that Q, but not able to follow up. So if EDG can get their comp controlling space first, again, lasers in your face, threat from the Annie stun there,
yeah.
The gravity field from FoFo just preventing you from getting in.
Drake being burst here by EDG as the roots come across the team. Abel trying to get into the pit as well, but the dragon resets here. EDG could be in trouble because Creme behind enemy lines could be devastating if he could make things happen. It's going to be a 50-50, but Jiejie takes it, and now the fight ensues. Creme in the pit trying to get onto the AD carry, but he just can't. It's FoFo with a kill, and Shanji just doesn't have the impact he needs. Abel pushed away. Creme has to try and retreat, but knocked up. Leave can't quite finish the job as Ppgod chased down and finished off. Jiejie with a bonk on the head will look for more, spinning around for the triple, and Creme to fall. EDG flipped the game on its head.
EDG just doing so well in these 5v5s. They know what they need to do. They showed us in game 1. Great job marking the Akali. Great job, like, prioritizing the right targets where they're using these abilities, and now waves pushed in mid, taking away enemy jungle camps on bot, really trying to choke out OMG. And look here, Creme trying to force a flank, gets spotted out, but the key thing to me is like Aki needing to go in because he gets engaged on. Abel separated from the team with the Sion, and the Renekton Shanji just so slow to join in. Aki is already dead, and Creme, the gravity field was placed down, so he can't get in the fight. Things like the Chaos Storm are ticking as well, so Creme's damage here was ridiculous. When we the damage from the fight like pop up right away, it was, I think, even less than the Maokai.
Yeah, he just can't find a way in.
No.
And as soon as if he does go in, he's just CC'd up and will be taken down. It's a tough one for Creme. And this is the nature of picking an Akali early on in your draft when you're up against a team like EDG, when you're up against a squad that know how to play against your win conditions, that know how to set up a composition. It's going to make your life hard.
And, I mean, I love that you pointed out because both Viktor and Aphelios love playing against these types of champions that are, like, running into them. Like, sure, Akali's a threat because of the mobility, the flank potential, but things like the Maokai, the Renekton, like, you have to get in range, putting off the free damage. You have the zone control tools there to deal with them. You hit the nail on the head. I feel like EDG really did react so well in terms of how they built out their game plan in this one.
It's fantastic stuff. Creme underneath his tower. The gravity field making it so difficult. Perfect execution has to come out. A Gale Force. Believe this feels good as an AD carry to see the assassination go the other way.
OMG going to try and respond in the mid lane. But they have to be careful. We can see threat coming down from top side. The Sion already in, but Ala immediately regretting that choice.
Yeah, I think he was maybe trying to ult to escape but blocked. I'm not quite sure. It wasn't quite on the screen.
I think he was setting up like the pincer, but realizing that he was like 2 ahead on the play for the other members to be able to get there. Because they were on their way. They were 3 members strong.
Yeah, they were gunning it. They were gunning it. But in the meantime, leave red and white against the tower. It's turns out that's the tower's super secret weakness. This is 5,000 gold lead now. Where did this gold come from? Like
2 big team
a
fights.
minute ago, we were 2K in the lead for OMG, and now EDG in dominant control of this game.
I mean, Herald fight into Dragon fight back to back.
Yeah.
OMG opting into both, and EDG just taking names in both fights. EDG, I mean, looking like heavy favorites to take this one now. 4K gold in the lead. You hit on the scaling. It really just is there for their side. They really should. Like, I don't even know what outplays are there for OMG. It feels more like, again, relying on mistakes. Maybe trying to set up some type of picks, like, especially once Creme's TV's back up. I think if you can get, like, Creme and Shanji really on the same page, you have a lot of mobility there. You can maybe try and catch someone out in the side lane. But Ala's at the point where he feels it possible to take down. Meiko?
Just trying to fight for vision, but Aki, you're not allowed any vision anymore. Take it down. A couple of ultimates burnt, or in fact, it was actually just the Chaos Storm. And they managed to get that. Oh no, Tibbers as well. Still currently out. But that's a Baron opportunity. That's
so
the
fast.
jungler. They just shred it. Look at Leave's damage coming out onto this one. Creme wants to make something happen, wants to save the day, but I don't think the day can be saved at this point. Creme flips across. The perfect execution there. Jiejie charging forwards. TP comes through, and Ala chasing them down. Another knock-up, and Shanji falls. And OMG taking apart in this one. EDG just so clean with it.
The ability to bounce back after losing, again, 5 kills to OMG having 22 in game 2. Great stuff by EDG. Great tenacity being shown from them. I will say for OMG, this series doesn't make me think any less of them. They came in as heavy underdogs today.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they definitely had a chance, and we saw that in the series. But honestly, they showed that they had way more of a chance than I thought they would coming in. And it just makes me excited for the potential best-of-5s we'll get to see from OMG. They still aren't locked in the playoffs, especially if they lose here. I mean, they just aren't locked in. But they are a team sitting at 8-5 you expect to see in playoffs. And again, after how close this has been, I'm just ready for it. I'm just ready for 5 games of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see this as a matchup in playoffs if OMG could make it that far. But it does feel like EDG have found the upper hand, right? It does feel like they figured out how to tackle what OMG bring to the table. And it's just slowing the game down. It's playing a more controlled game and not letting the chaos of OMG's early game take over.
And also them being able to do it while giving Creme his picks, giving him his champions. A lot of times, the way to beat OMG has been completely ban out the mid lane. EDG are showing that they don't even need to do that, and they could still be able to come out with the W against OMG. You
They
can
can focus those bans on Shanji instead.
Yeah, take away things like the Rumble. Is now taking down inhibitors. Creme's trying to get them some gold back on the opposite side, but leave.
Able, stun, cleanse, and flash immediately comes out here. The Moonlight Vigil not quite enough because the shield bow shield. As EDG now looking towards the second inhib and potentially towards the game. But Lyric, I reckon we'll have one last ditch fight here from OMG, and perhaps some kind of miracle can happen. We've seen it before. We saw a comeback earlier on today from Anyone's Legend. It's a phenomenal moment. Do we get it from OMG as well? Shanji with the dominance wants to go in. Creme though, look at him, just gets one shot. Barely alive as Shanji gets in and take it down. Creme can't escape this time. A double kill for Jiejie. As Abel desperately trying to stack up, doing what he can, but I don't think he's going to be able to 1v5 this one. If there's any champion that can, it's Zeri, but he's stuck on the fountain. And EDG will finish this series in style, looking dominant and showing that when it comes to team fights, they are the best.
Great team fighting. Again, even just the map play being there for EDG really feels like that they've been the best in that regard just throughout the LPL as a whole, which is why they're sitting in first place. They not only have like a high level of, an incredibly high level of skill. Again, different points. Some of these members being considered best in their position. People like Jiejie, people like Meiko. Other people being in contention for like top 3, top 4. The FoFos, the Alas, Leave coming in as a hyped up rookie. Having the coach who won a, like, what was it, a summer split into a Worlds, into a spring split, into an MSI, something like that. And just really having everything